I stopped you and made you expand on point number one of the three things that needs to happen. What are the other two things, Momus?
So the second thing is, I think, so the reformation of the Tory party, and the reformation of Conservatives is actually really vital. And I know people are very angry at the Conservative party for failing them, right? And the reason why people are more angry at the Tory party than they actually are at even at Labour and stuff as well is the very reason why we need a reformation of the Tory party, is because Tory party is like the monarchy, right? It is the party, and every other party is a challenger to that party, right? And it's sort of like that father figure of a party, right? And that, if that goes astray, I think so the country goes astray. It has the apparatus built in, it has the imagination of people still intact, right? And that is the prime mover of politics. Things change when they move, right? It won't change unless they move. If we reform them, then we are actually thinking about not just reforming the Conservative party. So people need to stop thinking about, like, oh, we're just reforming the Conservative party itself, right? And stop thinking about their period of 14 years, because the party is more than the 14 years, and the country is more than those failed 14 years, right? We're actually talking about reforming the elites, right? And also why you need elites in any society for effective governance, right? It's not that the fact that we have elites that's a problem. It's the fact that we have a corrupted elite and an incompetent elite that's a problem. So when we're talking about reforming the Tory party, we're actually talking about reforming the elites, actually having competent people back who know how to govern, who know how to build policies, who know how to look after their own people, their country, and everything within, right? I think so. That's why it's important to reform Tory party. But again, Tory party will not be reformed unless they go through that period of extreme humiliation and struggle and the justified hate of the people, which has to happen now, right? So people are getting, when I say that, people get angry at me for saying, "Oh, just forget about the Tory party," right? Well, you haven't been able to forget about it since its inception, so there's a reason for it, right? You can't forget about it. But I'm not saying you don't have to get angry at them. I'm not talking about that you need to reform them now. No, they actually have to go through this themselves, right? This struggle, they have to have even a more humiliation in 2029. I'm talking about reforming them for 2034, like, because that's when we can start changing things. So that's my second point.
Well, I think you're onto something there. I have made this point on this podcast and also in private conversation with a few people that I believe the reports that the Conservative Party is dead may be a little premature, to paraphrase a famous film line, in that it's been around for hundreds of years, and in accordance with the Lindy effect, which Nassim Nicholas Taleb has described so well, as the things that have been around for so long are likely to be around for even longer. It's not to say that it's absolutely sure that they're going to survive, but as you've pointed out, is that there is going to be no real answer in 2029. I mean, there's never a silver bullet, but 2029 may well prove to be a false dawn. It might be that if you do end up with a reform government or whatever else, that all just goes to pot, or that circumstances means you can't get there. But by 2034, because of the long period of suffering that's currently being endured, is that people will need to be living in a totally different political paradigm. And the Conservative Party, after all of that time, if they don't get back in at the next election, will have done a lot of time clearing out deadwood. And I look at the Tories, and similar to you, which is I don't really want to go sliming people all of the time just for the sake of it. If I start to see good being done, then that should be recognised. And I take a similar view to Douglas Carswell, who came on the show, where he said, I don't really care who does the things that are right, just so long as it gets done. And that goes for the Labour Party, it goes for the rest of it. And if I look at the Tories, not the current leadership, but if I look at Jenrick and his acolytes like Neil O'Brien and Katie Lamb and Nick Timothy and all the rest of it, I go, actually, that there would be a very useful leadership team and more likely to be able to govern than all of the other challenges so far. So I think it's a deleterious thing to do to just dismiss a whole party and all of
Yeah,
the things they
and
might be able to do.
they have to die as well to rise from the ashes, right? Exactly, to be reborn. And in every single instance, the third one that I come up to as well, the first two instances as well, they both have to die. The monarchy has to be at its lowest. It has to die to be able to be reborn, right? This is the story, like, of the Christ itself as well. Like, the rebirth is important, but you can't be born again unless you have died once, right? So that story has to come to an end for them to be born. And and it's not as if I'm saying like all the parties, all the smaller parties and stuff are not important, and then we should only have like one singular party. The thing is, those parties are important as well as pressure groups to keep the Tories on their toes, right? So you need Reform Party, you need Advance UK as well. I don't see Advance UK's role as being more than more of a role than Liberal Democrats, right? They're never going to form a government, but they can be in a very strong position, and this is actually what I see for Reform as well. They can be in a position where they can swing the decisions. They can put pressure on, right? That's why you need those parties, but ultimately they are all challengers to the main party of Conservatives, Labour included. All of them are actually challengers. That's why every time a Labour Party like forms government, it always fails, because they just don't know what to do. Like, they do know what to do when they're government, but like, they're trying to enact their way of thinking, right? Their socialist way of life. They're not trying to correct things that the Conservatives got wrong. That is what the other challengers would do, right? But these parties on the left, they are trying to enact something completely new. So they want to do away with what the Conservatives are. Conservatives' problem has been that they try to appease these people who actually want to destroy completely the way that Britain has been run, right, from the time of Tony Blair and even before. That's what they've tried to do. They've tried to completely, you know, change the way Britain is run. There's no point on appeasing those people. And the greatest win of the communist has been in infiltrating the Conservative Party with these Liberal Democrats and these sort of liberal people within the party, right? So that needs to change, and that is only going to change once the Conservative Party completely dies, and it comes out like a new crop of people who restart it while their party apparatus is still there. Because I don't see uh, I just don't see Reform Party as being a serious enough party to be able to govern. Right? They can be in government. They might win all the votes and stuff. Like, that doesn't matter. Winning an election is not the point. Right? What do you do with that is the point. Right? So they put out statement like yesterday. It really annoyed me. They put out these tweet like of Nigel Farage said he will require all police officers, the police officers, to investigate all crimes or something of that sort, right? So what a vacuously stupid statement to make. Obviously, they're required by the crown when they take take the oath to the crown. They are required to investigate every single crime. Right? It's in their oath that they will do all they can to prevent all crimes, right? And to pursue all means, right? The problem is not what you will require them to do. The problem for them is what is their capacity and ability to do those things, right? So how are you going to enable them? How are you going to make sure that they have enough capacity? How are you going to build in reforms for the police academy and stuff to be, so that you enable them to do the stuff, right? So it just shows me when they put out these slop sort of statements that they're not really serious about these things. They don't really know how it works. And the same that I saw were like them winning local elections as well, local council elections and stuff, when they started talking about the Doge, the UK Doge like thing that they started, what's his name, whatever his name is, Zia Yusuf, right? So he started saying it. It was pretty clear that they don't know how local councils are run. When they were saying, "Oh, we're going to audit the councils are going to audit the councils," like, okay, unless you change the complete law on that. That's not how it happens. A council itself does an audit on itself, right? It That's how it does it. A local councils actually cannot do audits on it, right? But it's just they put out these statements because they know at this point that the public doesn't know how things work, right? And that's why it's easy to fool the public, because these are statements that are very nice statements to make, right? They're very catchy statements to make. Oh, I'll require every police officer to, investigate all crimes. Then people are all of a sudden thinking, oh yeah, that means they won't be investigating all the woke crimes, all the woke hate crimes and stuff like that. It's like, even if you take that away, they still don't have the capacity to investigate everything. That's how much crime we have currently, and that's how much they lack the capacity. That's how much admin work that they have to do, that they are trapped into this. That's why how much they have to write investigation reports after every single, sorry, incident reports after every single incident, right? It ties them up in those sort of things. It just shows me that they don't know how the mechanics of each of those departments work, right? If they come in government, the civil service will continue as usual, and what they will end up doing is that they will end up putting out these statements and say, see, we tried to do something, and the civil service, the blob, the government blob, the deep state is stopping us from doing it. So they will keep getting the confidence of the people, the popularity, because they'll be like, well, we are trying, but the government is stopping us. The civil service is stopping us from doing it. Well, fine, like that's a good way of doing like empty politics, right? But I'm not interested in that. It's like, I'm interested in how you're actually going to make the civil service do those things, and you won't be able to make them do anything unless you actually know what you're talking about, right? So anyways, like that was a long tangent on why I don't think like Reform Party is like able to do those things. Conservative Party has that apparatus and has that understanding. It's just that they don't have the political will right now, so they need to go through that point.